Good evening and welcome to Nite Callers Bigfoot Radio. Tonight, in lieu of our normal show, we are having a memorial show to William Michael Dranginis, who lost the battle with pancreatic cancer recently. December 3rd, 2018, we lost a valued member of this Bigfoot community, and our hearts and prayers go out to his family and loved ones. Bill was a huge staple in the Bigfoot community. He dedicated all his free time to the pursuit of proving the existence of this creature. Bill was 59. He was a surveillance and security expert originally from Virginia. In 1995, Bill had a sighting of a Bigfoot while metal detecting with friends in the forest near Culpeper, Virginia, and has since then dedicated all his time and efforts to capturing video and/or audio evidence as proof of this creature's existence. In 2001, Bill purchased a 24-foot mobile veterinary unit and converted it into the world's only Bigfoot Research Lab. He spent over $50,000 to outfit this vehicle with state-of-the-art gear, most custom-built. In recent years, Bill used technology to electronically capture Champ, the Lake Champlain creatures, in similar fashion, going on various Champ expeditions, buying boats and outfitting them with his equipment. Without the dedication that he put into his pursuits of these unknown creatures, we would not be where we are today. So we tonight are playing a show of the interview that we did with him a while back, and we hope that you all enjoy it. We hope that you will go look up his work yourself and study up on the research that he provided for our community. We will be back next week with our regularly scheduled show. Enjoy!
Mysteries abound around the world. From strange lights in the night sky to ghostly apparitions passing from one realm to the next, to what lies beneath the depths of Loch Ness. From Bigfoot to Atlantis, they are all mysteries waiting to be solved. Join Lori Phillips, Lauren McGrory, Luke Gross, and JB on Nite Callers Radio as they continue their search for the truth.
Hello, it's May 23rd, and you are listening to Nite Callers Radio. I'm Laurie Phillips, and I'm here tonight with my co-hosts, Lauren McGrory, Luke Gross, and JB. I want to welcome all of you to our show, and we're glad you can make it. It's going to be a great show tonight. We're kind of in a rush. Our guest is right between thunderstorms and traveling by motorcycle, and he may not be able to give us the entire show tonight, so we're going to try to get to him as soon as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce our guest, and we can get to talking to him as quickly as we can so he can get out of the way of that thunderstorm bearing down on him right now. Our guest tonight is William Dranginis, and I hope I'm saying that right. William saw Bigfoot once. It was hairy, a good 7 feet tall, and sprinting through the woods of Virginia. In the decade since that 12-second sighting, Dranginis dedicated himself to getting another look. To improve his chances, the 45-year-old surveillance and security expert from Manassas, Virginia, bought a 24-foot mobile veterinary unit and converted it into a Bigfoot primate research lab. So far, Bill has spent about $50,000 to outfit this mystery mobile with state-of-the-art gear, much of it custom-built. Mounted a Raytheon Night Sight 200 thermal camera on a 25-foot tall crank-up mast. The camera can detect an animal in the dark 800 yards away. He also got two night vision scopes, service to aircraft radio, and TV monitors that can combine images from the roof-mounted video cams into one 360-degree view, or receive feeds from the remote cams in the woods. He deploys at least 2 weekends a month and still no second sighting. Early on, I said if I could look into the eyes of this thing, I would sell all my equipment and get back to life, he said. But my main goal now is to try to establish contact, then push forward for legislation to protect the areas they inhabit. We'd like to join us tonight on Nite Callers as we welcome from the state of Virginia, Mr. Bill Dranginis. Are you there, Bill?
Yes, thanks for having me on.
Okay, now how do you say your last name? Dranginis?
Dranginis.
Dranginis. Oh,
yep.
I never
You
did it right.
You did good.
Welcome, anyway, to Nite Callers Radio. We're glad to have you here. Luke, are you back with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
I'm sorry.
Are you busy, Luke? Still?
I'm uploading sound files, but that's okay. I'm in the process. I can listen and work at the same time. I can multitask somewhat.
Okay. Now, Bill, we know that you are on a motorcycle going back to your state of Virginia from a road trip, and you've got a thunderstorm bearing down on top of you at this very moment, right?
Yeah, there's a few of them. So I'm dodging them. I'm actually parked at the moment, but I can still see them off in the distance. So it's another 3 or 4 hours to get back home. So I do have to get going a little bit, but I'm glad to talk to you guys tonight.
I know, and I thank you for calling in, even though it's going to be dangerous for you. I appreciate you coming on anyway. Can we begin by discussing your experience, your sighting?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, it was I never had anything really any interest in the Bigfoot creatures. Sort of cryptozoology in general. I was just it was a passing interest, but I ended up I was working for a lot of years, part-time jobs, things like that, like with my full-time job with raising a family and needing every bit of cash possible. But I ended up buying a metal detector, a White Eagle Spectrum metal detector, to do a little bit of Civil War relic hunting in Virginia. And I learned that it took about 6 months before I really started getting some interesting finds. But through work, I had a couple friends that were FBI agents, and one of them actually lived in Culpeper, Virginia, which is about an hour and a half or so southwest of Washington, D.C. Across the street from him was a company, a pulpwood company, that basically just did timbering on their property. And also in that area, there were a lot of gold mines from prior to the gold rush, the California gold rush. And I found out earlier that Virginia was the largest producer of gold prior to the gold rush. So as soon as the gold rush hit, everybody just sort of dropped their shovels and went west. But what that area is also known as the gold pyrite belt that goes through Maryland, through Great Falls, Maryland, down through central Virginia and down to the southwest Virginia. And it's just a great area to do metal detecting. There's a lot of Civil War battles in that area. Also, you got the possibility of finding gold down there. So it was very appealing. So we scheduled time to go down with the two FBI agents and myself. We went down one Saturday afternoon. It was early March. It was a pretty decent day. It was about 60 degrees or so, 65, somewhere around there. Clear day. We did some metal detecting for about 4 or 5 hours. And on the way back, about 1:30 to 2:30, I can't remember the exact time right now. But on the way back, we were coming down a logging road. The two agents were in front of me. I was behind, still metal detecting. They were casually talking. And one of the agents dropped his metal detector, and he raised his hands out, and he said, "Stop." And then he used basically a sign language pointing from his shoulder to the tip of his finger, and he said, 75 feet in behind that tree is a man. And the other agent pulled his sidearm, and both of them drew their sidearms and basically pointed them in that general direction. I was looking behind and I was behind them looking at the area, and I really didn't see anything. And then just a couple seconds later, I saw this giant head peer out from behind the tree, looked directly at us and pulled back. And at that point, I couldn't believe what was going on because there was actually someone down there. And that sort of spooked me because that whole area is so remote. To see someone hiding behind trees was pretty intimidating. Anyway, about 3 seconds later, this thing started running from our left to right, just 75 feet away. You could see it clear as day. There were some pine trees in the area, but they were the branches were basically off up to 10 or 11 feet high. So we had a really good view of it. Ran from our left to right, and it basically drew our attention from where we first saw it to where it ran 180 degrees in the opposite direction right in front of us, and then went back down into the woods. As it was running, you could see the hair flowing, the muscles, the leg muscles. The agent, one of the FBI agents said he realized that it didn't make a sound as it was running through the woods. Myself, I was sort of tunnel visioned from the neck area down to the torso for a few seconds. It was something strange happened to me, but it was actually like a tunnel vision. But then as it ran a little bit more to the right, I was actually able to see the whole thing. But you can see the hair flowing, the muscles in the arms, the hands, the legs. It was just incredible. It moved. It was very agile as it was running. It was very smooth, fluid motion. It seemed to be built for that sort of thing. It wasn't a guy in a suit. It wasn't a bear. It was a Bigfoot creature. And the whole sighting lasted about 12 seconds. About 9 seconds into it, the creature took a hard left turn, and we later found out that it used there was a pine tree there. It's about 8 inches or so in diameter. It actually used the base of that pine tree as a pivot point, where it looks like it placed its right foot about a foot or so, foot and a half up on the tree, and used that as a pivot point, and it pushed off. And when it did that, it actually pushed the bark down to the ground, and then it accordioned out from there. But it was a really quick turn, and from our vantage point, it was just very strange to see such a large mass in speed take such a quick left turn. But as it turned, we could see the shoulders going back and forth, 4 foot diameter going across. And you could see some discoloration between the shoulder blades, where most of the hair was a dark brown gray, but the light gray was very prominent between the shoulder blades. And it looked like spotted grain. And the shoulders were just going back and forth, and you could see there wasn't a real neck to this. It was pretty much maybe 3 or 4 inches, something like that, but you really couldn't see it too well. But you could still see the hair flowing, the shoulders going back and forth as it ran down the hill. Both agents followed it with their weapons. I later found out that the agent that spotted initially as we were walking down the logging road said he spotted movement out of his peripheral vision. And also this agent did 3 tours of Vietnam as a point man, so he was pretty much trained in that respect. But when he saw it, he said he saw it about 2 or 3 seconds before it turned and looked at him. And he said the expression on both of our faces was, "Oh shit." So it was a chance sighting. He thought also that...
Were you aware that such a thing existed before you went out there? My phone dropped, and I didn't know if you mentioned that or not.
No, I didn't. I may have been aware, but I wasn't. I didn't have a real interest in it.
Okay.
Maybe I heard of it. But I really didn't put much into it. I never went to see any of the movies or anything like that. I know a lot of people get into it from the movies, but I never saw any of those. So it was the actual sighting that got me going, and it was the whole sighting lasted about 12 seconds, and it just flipped my world around because you see a creature that the scientific community says does not and cannot exist, and you see it in the flesh and blood with 2 FBI agents that are confirming this. There's no doubt what you saw, and it's not just one. I'm sure there's the family units over. The agents also said that because it ran from right directly in front of us, it drew our attention to what could have possibly been in the woods behind it, like a family unit or a mate or something like that. And he said it was successful doing that. We actually followed it from our left to right, 180 degrees, and that drew our attention away to what could have been behind it.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
Mm-hmm. But, you know, when something like that happens, to me anyway, I'm curious about a lot of things, so it really struck a chord with me. And I was doing custom camera work for some government agencies and stuff, and I thought, gee, I know where it is. I know that particular one was down in that area, and I said, you know what, I'm going to drop some cameras down here and see what happens. And I figured within 2 years I would have the video, and that would be it. So I ended up the next 6 months or so spending a lot of time down there putting up camera systems and doing video. The first I got to was down there in 1996, but it was a video unit that actually turned on upon PIR activation. Took a minute of video and audio and then went back to sleep again, and all that was buried underground except for the camera, microphone, and the passive infrared detectors. But I got a lot of interesting stuff, a lot of deer, crows, beaver, things like that. I had a lot of strange video recordings from around 1 to 2 o'clock in the morning. I didn't have any illumination on the camera system, so it was I wasn't able to see anything, but I could hear the audio. I could hear something breathing very heavy. I could hear the footfalls of something large as compared to a deer. And I did record deer, so I know what the footfalls sounded like on that particular recording system, and it wasn't a deer. But also the camera housing was tapped a number of times where something actually tripped the system and then tapped the housing. And that's when I later found out from some of the deer video that when these creatures, or when the deer was looking at the camera, its ears were just sort of trying to zero in on something, like it was hearing something. And from that point, I ended up doing some research on the hearing of deer, and that they could hear into the ultrasonic range. And I thought, geez, I wonder if these cameras are producing ultrasonic sounds that we can't hear. So I ended up purchasing a ultrasonic leak detector that's used for checking pinholes and boilers and steam boilers and things like that. But what it does, it converts ultrasonic sound to audible sound that we can hear. And sure enough, I put it on the camera, and the thing made a ton of sound in the ultrasonic range, and I think that's what the deer was hearing. And same thing with microphones, camcorders, things like that. They all produce ultrasonic sound. So really, every time it goes off, it's almost like a warning signal of something in those woods that's not natural. It's a man-made device, and I think the animals pick up on that it's not a natural sound, and it's coming from man, and they end up trying to stay away from it as much as they can. I don't know if the Bigfoot creatures could hear in the ultrasonic range, but the new cameras I'm working on will eliminate that sound.
Oh, that's a good. Oh, really? I need to ask you a question from the chat because I know we don't have a lot of time. The Suncake asked, can William explain to the listeners about the hair sample that you submitted for study?
Yes.
Okay.
That was a trip in itself. The hair samples came from a research location in Southern Virginia where multiple witnesses have seen these creatures. They were actually converting a barn into a small church on this property. It's all pretty much, there's some field there, but also wooded, thousands of acres, a large lake behind their property, and multiple witnesses. And I've talked to these witnesses, and they were helping build the church, and when they were working on inside, they would actually look out the windows once in a while, and they would see these gorilla-type creatures looking at them. And they were asking the owner, why do you have gorillas out there watching us, orangutans. So I ended up putting some cameras down there. Got a couple pictures of something that actually measured 10 feet tall, and I haven't released the pictures because they're just so bizarre. It's something 10 feet tall with like a conical shaped head. I didn't want to throw it out there because it's not that great. So, but anyway, the hair was found on that property. It was sort of strange because it was found at the foot of the steps leading into the home, and also at the base of the steps going into the church, which is separated by 100 yards or so. I checked the hair. It seemed, under microscopic inspection, it looked like human hair, but it was clumped. It also had fleas in it, and it really smelled terrible. Whereas the owners, I told them to put it in a bag and put it in a refrigerator, and they just said, no, it's not coming in the house. It stinks really bad. So I went down there and got it, and I didn't know what it was. So I ended up checking it, and under the microscope, it looked like human hair. I sent some to Henner Fehrenbaugh. He said it looked like bear hair, black bear hair. And I checked under the microscope, and I said it's not black bear hair. And it was pretty easy to see the difference between the two. So I found out down in Washington, D.C. at the Smithsonian, I found out who actually works on microscopic hair examination and forensics examination. And I found a scientist. I hand-carried the hair down there, told her what I'd found, and she was interested. And she looked at it, and she said that it's human hair, but it has animal attributes to it, which intrigued me. So I thought, ooh, we got something here. So after that, I brought the hair and had
a different answer than unknown primate. I mean, that seems to be the only answer that. Okay, well, go ahead.
And
I'm sorry.
So from that evidence and from that scientific evaluation, which I thought was scientific, but I ended up having hair mineral analysis done on it, where they actually burn the hair and actually sort of itemize the amount of minerals in the hair, and they could tell what the diet of the host is, if it's an animal, human, that sort of thing. And what was strange was they came back and said it's a human, just not a modern day one. And I was a little perplexed, and I said, what do you mean by that? And they said that it has the characteristics of the ratios that a human would have, but it had no sign of processed minerals in the hair, which means it doesn't eat any processed foods that you buy at the grocery store, which would sort of rule out dogs and other domestic animals, humans, because unless they're maybe vegetarians, but and eat organic. But they said there was no sign of minerals in the hair, and so I thought that was pretty good. The gentleman also said that
very interesting.
Yeah. So from the results back, the PhD also said that this thing eats red deer meat, plant roots, and also clay. And I found out that clay is sort of the drugstore for animals in nature. Animals know, just like deer salt licks and things like that, the deer need salt. There's other minerals they need, and they usually go to clay sources for that. So I thought I thought we were on the verge of a new discovery here. Also, the mineral to zinc ratios, or the iron to zinc ratios, were very similar to the Chinese urine when they did hair mineral analysis testing on that. And also, some of the mineral ratios were so high, if it was a human being, an average human, it would have killed them because of the mineral ratios were so high. So we figured we had some type of a large hominid that was the host. So we ended up, the woman that was the scientist out at Smithsonian brought the hair to a forensics conference up in Seattle, Washington, where they were doing a study in forensics and crime scenes where they had animal hair and human hair sort of intertwined or collected at the same site, and they had to identify the two. She brought it up to her instructors, and the instructors said they couldn't figure it out. They said it looks human, it looks animal, they're not sure. She waited a little bit, and they still kept probing her, and finally she said it's possible hair from a Sasquatch or Bigfoot creature. And the two instructors looked at each other and said it's llama hair and gave it back to her. And it doesn't look at all like llama hair. So I ended up doing some research, and I found a company overseas in Stockholm, Sweden. Actually, Copenhagen, I'm sorry. And I talked to one of the PhDs there, and they said they were interested, but it's going to cost $15,000 to do the DNA analysis. So that was sort of out of the picture. But I still had all the documentation from the Smithsonian on their letterhead, also the PhD that conducted the hair mineral analysis. And I thought we had some pretty good evidence. And I said, would you mind if I send this to you? And I did. And he actually emailed a couple of days later and said, when could we do it? And I said, well, I don't have the $15K. And he said, don't worry. So I sent two samples over to Copenhagen. They both came back as wolf.
Oh.
So and I don't doubt but wolf could be any type in the dog family, basically. the canine family. So they said it was very similar.
Wants to know, do you have it posted online anywhere?
What, the results?
Yes.
Oh, no, not yet. I still have to get those on because I pay somebody to do my website, and he's been sort of out of touch for a while, so I do have to put that up. But it was a good chase. You know, I had all the evidence, and everything seemed to back it up that it was some type of hominid. And but then when the DNA came in, it was wow. So what that made me realize was that even the people at the Smithsonian couldn't identify the hair correctly. Also, the hair mineral analysis seemed to, you know, the results weren't there that they described. So, you know, even if you have this trail of evidence along the way, it just doesn't, you know, everybody's still a little different. It's very subjective, I guess, depending on who does it and what type of equipment they use. So I tried, and that's where it stopped right there at the DNA. But I still have the gentleman. He's still willing to do DNA on any type of suspected Bigfoot hair. I'm not throwing everything at him, but if I can't identify it with microscopic examination, I send it to him. So, but nothing yet.
What about going back to the ultrasonic sound? Skunk Ape is asking, does the thermal imager emit ultrasonic sound?
Yes, yeah, it does. What I did with that ultrasonic leak detector, you could actually point it at electronics, and it converts the ultrasonic to audio, similar to hearing bat echolocation. Even though you can't hear the bat echolocation, if you have an ultrasonic leak detector, you could hear that in audio through the conversion process. But pretty much any electronics makes ultrasonic sounds, and I was able to use the probe tip of the ultrasonic detector, where it actually had like a small metal tip on it, that you could go from component to component on circuit boards and actually find out which one produces the most sound. So it depends on what type of electronics you have, but any type of switching, electronic switching, which is in all electronics, that's what produces a sound. And you have to have an air path for that sound to escape. But if you block that air path with weather seals or silicone O-rings, things like that, sealing gaskets, if you could block that air gap, you could pretty much block most of the ultrasonic sound that's being emanating from that electronics.
Gosh. Bill Green wants to know, are you currently investigating in any new sighting locations or footprints or pictures? He asks us every week. I'm investigating one. It's in Prince William County Forest Park. Actually, when I was away, one of the witnesses called me up and said that there was some sound of cracking trees and things down in the woods where they've heard this before. There's some current investigations going on actually as soon as I get back. Okay. Let me see. Skunk Ape wants to know, is there any way to muffle? He says, never mind. He heard what you said about the what you were talking about. You were going to discuss the new I Gotcha, weren't you?
Yes.
Yes. I don't know how you're doing on time. How's the weather doing for you?
It's turning gray, but I got a few more minutes yet. We could go into the I Gotchas for about another 10 or 15 minutes, if that's okay.
Okay, that sounds great. Great. We'll just hold off doing any commercials or going to any intermissions, and we'll just keep you on as long as we can. So go ahead. Go ahead, Bill. Tell us about the I Gotcha, the new I Gotcha.
All right. Well, the new I Gotcha is based on the original one in Culpeper in 96, and it was it's basically a unit that I wanted to bury underground and just have the cables coming up out of the ground that would supply power to the camera and microphone, and then the video back into the recorder, and also being triggered by motion, video motion, or passive infrared detector, where you put passive infrared detectors on trees and things like that, and as soon as something walked in front of it, it would send a wireless signal to the camera system and start recording. From that time, it was pretty large and bulky, and I wanted to try to convert it where it was somewhat cost-effective and affordable to the average researcher. So I started looking into digital cameras, video cameras, things like that, and basically trying to convert off-the-shelf equipment with add-on kits or something like that that would work for most people. But it seemed like every year or two, as soon as I had a working prototype and started to talk about production with manufacturing companies, new technology was right around the corner. Being smaller electronics or memory cards, things like that. And if I pursued the production, by the time I got to production, it would be outdated. So I was sort of chasing my tail for a lot of years, since 96, 97, when I first started pursuing the ultimate the camera system. But it wasn't until about a year and a half, 2 years ago, that the technological advancements started to slow down a little bit. And with the recession going on, it's actually crawled to a stop because the electrical components, the chips and things like that, resistors, are very hard to come by now. And to order some of these components, it takes like 26 weeks to get these things built and delivered. So it's really putting a damper on the progress of electronic systems in different areas. But what I did was I started about 4 years ago on a small digital video recorder that I implemented with a passive infrared detection system, so that when something came into the field of view of the PIR, it would send a wireless signal to the below ground unit via an antenna, and then in a waterproof case, and then it would turn on the system for 1 minute, record DVD quality video and audio, and then go back to sleep, waiting for the next alarm. It went onto an SD card, and that was about a 16 gigabyte, and it did about 50 hours of DVD quality video and audio. So that was working real good, but the cost was, I had to sell it for about $1,500. It was really out of the price range of many researchers. The first government entity, Night Vision Labs at Fort Belvoir, bought the first unit. They hooked it up to, they're using a thermal camera with the passive infrared detectors, and they're actually videotaping or obtaining the video from about 400 feet away. They're actually, the detectors are 400 feet away from the site, from the record station.
May I ask you a question, Bill, real quick?
Sure.
I know I'm not very technical. I'll tell you right now, I'm technically ignorant. But what is a passive IR detector? What's the difference between that and a regular IR detector?
Well, I think it's just the terminology that people don't understand because they're not into that type of technology. And but a passive infrared detector, which you see on a lot of home security systems, it's just a sensor unit that actually detects body heat or a heat source. And they place this PIR sensor that's usually just a little silicone chip, and they have what's called a Fresnel lens that goes over that detector. And what that does, it focuses the infrared energy right onto that detector. So when you walk in front of it, your body is always emitting infrared energy, and that energy is focused through the Fresnel lens onto the detector. And as you move across in front of the detector, the different areas of that sensor pick up movement, and that means that, hey, something is walking in front of it that's giving out heat. It could be an animal, it could be a person. It could also be if the sun's shining in on it, it could be leaves that are blocking the sun, or branches that move, and the sensor still triggers it, and it says, hey, something's out there, so it turns the system on. But it does not emit any light at all. It's passive, where it's just looking and waiting for something to go in front of it.
Okay.
So it's pretty basic, but it doesn't produce. They do produce ultrasonic sounds too, but they don't produce any light or lasers or things like that. Some of the early game camera systems did. These don't.
HBM Crypto Corner, Henry, he wants to know, will the I Gotcha website be available? Is that going to be connected with the other one, or are they going to be separate? Or
it's going to be separate. It's going to be it's going to be more geared towards general security, but it's going to be. I have the domain igotcha.com, and that's EYEGOTCHA Bigfootresearcher.com. It's not up yet. I didn't want to do anything until I had a working system that was for sale. So in about 2 weeks, it'll be up there for sale.
And a reasonable price too.
Yes, it's actually going to be there's three different systems. One's going to be the more expensive system, the $1,500 one, which is the one that the military is buying. The other two are very interesting, and I'm going to go into that real quick. The basic, and I don't even have names for these yet, but the basic system, upon PIR activation, starts up the camera and also the infrared LEDs if it's needed during the evening. It records a 30-second video using AVI file format to a 32 gigabyte micro memory card. So you're getting video and audio for 30 seconds, and then the system shuts down again. This thing is about the size. The best way to describe it is the size of the half of an egg. It's very tiny. It lasts about a week out in the woods. It's not waterproof the way it comes. I'm going to be also offering a different type of enclosure so that it will be waterproof, and it has a lot more batteries, so it could last up to at least a couple months in the woods. It's going to be very similar to a game camera, but it's very, very tiny. And the sleeves that'll go over it will be urethane or silicone, and they'll look like tree bark basically. So it'll also the urethanes and silicones will be
muffling
It's ultrasonic, and then also they'll be colored because if you look in the ultraviolet spectrum of light or the near infrared, some game cameras look black or white depending on the plastics they use. The game cameras also produce they outgas with smells from the production of the plastic. These will be using FDA-approved urethanes and silicones that do not outgas. So in the commercial industry, they use some of these molds for candies and food and things like that. They make these cupcake tins now that are made out of silicone, and you just flex the silicone and the cupcakes pop out. But the idea is that the smell does not outgas into the food. The same thing with the game cameras, where the smells are not going to outgas into the atmosphere. So hopefully the animals won't smell it. But that system.
Try to eat it.
Yeah. But the basic system is going to be about $149 or so. That'll give you the PIR, the infrared illumination, which is I think it's around 820 nanometers, which is there's still a slight red glow to it. The ones I'm going to modify for the Bigfoot research that are a little custom, those will have I think the 980 nanometer LED, so you can't see them with the human eye, and also some options for battery power to extend the life. So that's really just a sort of a plug-and-play system where you could put it up to a tree, turn it on, and walk away and come back a week later, take out the SD card, the micro card, and then put a new one in and go back and read it, or you could download it if you have a computer with a mini USB plug. The second system is really sort of cool because it actually has a cell phone SIM card in the system. And because I was working with this company for a couple of years, we developed it where it's actually a camera, but it's built on cell phone technology. So it's sort of a marriage between the camera and the cell phone and a PIR-activated sensor. So it's those three different technologies combined in one system. And same thing, as soon as the PIR detects movement, it'll turn the system on. It'll start taking a series of snapshots. The first snapshot goes into the system and actually goes through the SIM card and dials your cell phone up and sends you a text with a picture to it, so that within 30 seconds you'll find out what tripped the system.
Oh my gosh!
So
I'd get fired from my job because that thing would be going off, and I would have to be looking at it.
Yep.
It sounds like the wind's picking up on you, is it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. There's another one coming. But the system is very smart. It's a very intelligent system. It's not cheap by manufacturing means at all. This is an international company that's working on it. They're really doing it. They did a great job using the microelectronics from the cell phone industry. into the camera industry and also the PIR sensors. They're very low in power draw. It uses very low current until it's activated, and then it powers up, takes the snapshots, sends you the email, sends you an email to you program in your own email, and it'll actually send you the hard copy, the photo to your email, but also send it to you on your cell phone. So within 30 seconds, you get the picture of what you're
Beautiful. Oh, that one. Have you had a chance to try any of these yet?
Yes. Oh, yeah. And yeah, they're working fine. It's. I haven't got a picture of Bigfoot yet, but yeah, the system is working. You could also, once you get the photo, you could actually dial in to the camera, and by using your keypad on your cell phone, you could take more pictures, which would automatically knows your cell phone is sort of the master cell phone, so it just sends the pictures back to the master number, which is your cell phone. But it'll take more snapshots, but also it allows you to listen in through the microphone live what's going on at the camera site. So you can't see, it doesn't do video, it's just snapshots because it's the cheaper technology where it's just sending you a text message with a photo. If you get into data transmissions, it's pretty costly. This is a very inexpensive security system. So it's a pretty neat system. And also with this same unit that sends you the cell phone, it has optional scout cameras, which are very similar in size to the half of an egg, hard-boiled egg shape. But those scout cameras can be placed up to about 100 feet away from the central camera system that sends you the cell phone picture. Those scout cameras, which is up to 16 of those, you could put around the perimeter. And those scout cameras, when they detect passive infrared motion, they actually send a snapshot photo to the main unit, which is within 100 feet or so. And then that unit takes that snapshot and sends it to you.
Wow.
So you have these, what I call scouts, that you could place in the woods or in different areas, looking at creeks, looking at hillsides, things like that. Those scouts are going to be about $150, and so you could do the one central unit, and that's all, if you don't have the money for it. Or you could actually grow the system so you could buy more scouts, where if you came upon the extra money, you could actually put these scouts out there and have multiple scouts sort of covering like an invisible curtain almost. And if anything comes within range, you got the photo within 30 seconds. So it's a pretty, it's a system you could build upon. So you could start off pretty inexpensively and then start adding these scout cameras to cover the perimeter.
It's best. It's a great security thing. If you've got someone coming on your property while you're at work, you can find out who. Yes. Yeah, it's sort of absolutely.
It's developed for Bigfoot research, but it also has the security industry huge possibilities. So it's sort of it's sort of going two different ways for the Bigfoot research, but it's going for the commercial industry also, and that's why the price is so inexpensive. I gotta purchase a ton of these things up front, but I gotta keep the prices low because I want everybody to be able to throw them out there in the woods and see what we can do. Exactly. And the iGotcha site will also be able to people could download their videos and snapshots and download them to the iGotcha site under animals or security, things like that. So they can see what everybody else is getting video of.
Well, that sounds great. What about this third one that's a little more expensive, the $1,500 one? What does
It's just the.
Do you have time to tell us before you get blown away, or?
Yeah. It's I do see the clouds coming and they look pretty ominous, but it's just a sort of a higher end. It does the higher quality DVD, video, and audio.
Okay.
So it's pretty decent video and audio. It could be adjustable to within 30 seconds of video or 30 minutes of video if you want. There's a small a dial on there to sort of adjust the time. It takes off-the-shelf cameras. It has an RCA, or actually a BNC connectors for the video in, video out. So you could, and audio too. But you could buy these cameras anywhere online. They're $60, $70 for a basic black and white low light camera. But you could also, as long as it's 12-volt power, it'll work with the system. But you could also integrate, like the government agency did, thermal cameras or third-generation night vision cameras or intensified image cameras. So it's you could really, I guess, find some of the cheaper cameras when you're first starting to keep the price low. But again, that one is a buried unit where you actually bury it below ground. So you just have a small, what they call, I'm using lipstick cameras. They're about 1/2 inch diameter by about 2 inches long. And I just take a 1/2 inch drill and drill into a debris pile of trees or branches and just hide the camera in the branch so that you really don't see it. And the passive infrared detectors are hidden up in the trees. They could look up to 75 feet away in a 90-degree pattern. So once those goes off, it sends the signal to the camera system and starts recording. But it's just the circuitry and the board production and the DVR that are more expensive than the other units. So I'm trying to bring the price down as much as possible, but I'm doing what I can on that.
We appreciate that. Well, in fact, we really appreciate that someone is out there trying to develop this kind of technology, because obviously you have realized there are a lot of pitfalls in the game cameras being detected, being seen, smelled, heard, and you're trying to find ways to circumvent these obstacles. And I know you don't have a lot of time, but I was going to turn it over to JB. JB, do you have any questions?
No, I don't. I'm quite impressed that Bill's going at this the way he's going at it, looking at the as you mentioned, the smell, the sound, and the vision end of it, because something is tipping these guys off to cameras.
Yes, I mean, people have just about virtually given up using game cameras because you get everything but what you're trying to get in there, and but there's hope. There's hope that this new technology may be just what we need.
Absolutely,
yeah.
And I look forward to next time, Bill, because I want to get into your mobile unit, which is quite impressive.
Yeah, I'll tell you real quick. I didn't include that in the email. I sold that a little while back, and I'll be real quick with that. Going around the state, the local mid-Atlantic states and things, people were having sightings, but I would spend weekends out on that thing and really I wasn't getting any closer to spotting these creatures or finding evidence. So it was pretty much time to reshuffle the deck. It wasn't working. It was costing a lot of money for upkeep. So I ended up selling that to a private investigator firm out in Denver, Colorado. But I bought a remote cabin up in West Virginia where it's more of a permanent research base for these creatures. It's a pretty remote area, and it's got some good possibilities with the creatures.
I think that you're on the right track now. I think you're on the right track.
Have you got that pretty well wired up there now?
I have some of it wired. I was waiting for the production run of these camera systems so that I didn't have the $1,200 or the $1,500 systems out there. So I didn't want to put a bunch of those out there because it was just a ton of money that was out in the woods. And but I am going to put the other systems out there, the cheaper systems, and do multiples of those. Because I think I'm going to have better chances with those, multiple areas, multiple locations. So, but they're going to go out there, and it's going to be sort of a surreptitious deployment where you're camping out there for a day or two. You have a tent. You're going to be working the area a little bit, and just place the cameras up there. And as you leave, you leave some food or something out there, sort of by mistake, and then hopefully, these creatures will come into the campsite and grab it. But it's also along creek beds, mountain ridge lines, things like that, saddleback, stuff like that. So
it was a private investigator that bought the Super Snooper wagon.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh boy,
yeah.
I tell you, he got a good piece of machinery there.
Yeah, but as long as the I Gotcha is turning into a security business also, not just the Bigfoot research, but regular security, you could betcha that there's going to be a new vehicle out that's going to be purchased for the I Gotcha business. But that's going to basically be another Bigfoot research mobile and outfitted with the latest thermal stuff, high-tech gear, cameras, recording systems, things like that. So it's going to be sort of a traveling technology workbase off of the iGotcha system. So they could be deployed at any of these sites and then monitored from remote areas. So it's going to be a fun thing. So I got to sell a few of the systems first, but as soon as they're sold, the vehicle is going to start start being developed for that.
It boggles the mind what's possible nowadays.
Yeah. Yep.
It really is. It's kind of, it's kind of scary. I go out in the woods all the time, and I might be ending up on somebody's cell phone.
Yeah.
Oh, and never know it. I better not scratch my butt. And I better use the bathroom before I leave home. Luke, are you with us now, or are you still?
I am.
Do you have any questions for Bill? Because I think he may have to take off.
Yeah, I got a bolt.
Okay.
Well, that's all right. We will catch you the next time you're on the show. I've been sorry I haven't been here to ask. I had a whole list of questions I wanted to ask you, but I was busy downloading some sound files. Well,
Good.
We'll just
we'll do that next time, and I apologize for the problem, but the rain and thunderstorms came in much earlier than anticipated, and
that's
being
okay.
On the bike is sort of tough.
Yeah,
you
your
want to
safety.
be careful going home and
definitely.
try to stay ahead of that storm.
Oh yeah, yep.
And thank you for coming on.
Okay.
You gave us quite a lot of information.
You gave us an awful lot in a short period of time.
Yes,
well, it's very. I hope I didn't speak too fast, but it's very exciting, and if you're coming at this from it's more like a cat and mouse type game, because these creatures are very intelligent, and I think they know these camera systems are out there. So you sort of have to start, just pecking away at some of the issues that these camera systems.
All you can do is try to outthink them. Good luck.
Yeah, I think hopefully it'll work, but I got to get them in the hands of the researchers to let them go out and try them out.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the more the better.
Yep, that's right.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Bill.
All righty, well, thank you very much. You guys have a wonderful evening.
You too.
Yeah.
Be careful going home.
Okay, thank you. Take care.
All right.
All right.
Bye-bye.
We'll have you back.
Okay, thanks.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, I think that we will go ahead and step on over to footers. What do y'all think?
Good idea.
Okay,
yes,
everyone,
would
hang
be
tight.
great.
Our guest had to go, and we apologize for that, but he's out in the weather and trying to get ahead of that thunderstorm that's going to be chasing him all the way back to Virginia. So Ann has, a 3 or 4 hour trip still left to go.
Mm-hmm.
So we have some interesting things planned for the rest of the evening, so don't go away, and we'll be back shortly. Trying to get, hold on a second here.
Talk show radio host. One objective. Find the American Bigfoot Researcher. Join Lori Phillips, Lauren McGrory, Luke Gross, and JB on this special operation as they go in search of the American Bigfoot Researcher, only on Nite Callers Radio, every Sunday at 6 p.m. Central Time. And here she is, everybody, our favorite link girl, Lauren McGrory, with Footers in the Field.
Okay. This week's footers is called New Frogs and Geckos and Pigeons. Oh my. Finding a new animal species is like a special moment for scientists, and even better when one hops into their mountain campground and volunteers to be discovered. If only the rest of us footers could be that lucky. An international team of researchers was camping in the Foja Mountains of Indonesia when a herpetologist, Paul Oliver, spied a frog sitting on a bag of rice in the campsite. On closer inspection, it turned out to be a previously unknown type of long-nosed frog. The scientists dubbed it Pinocchio. When the frog is calling, the nose points upward, but it deflates when the animal is less active. We were sitting around eating lunch and looked down, and there's this little frog on a rice sack, and he managed to grab the thing. Herpetologists, experts in snakes, lizards, etc., have good reflexes, he observed. He also caught a gecko and managed to jump and grab the thing off a tree. And Mr. Longnose isn't all they found. Overcoming torrential rain and floods, the researchers reported finding the smallest kangaroo yet, a big woolly rat, basically, a three-toed pigeon, and a gargoyle-like bent-toed gecko with yellow eyes. The Foja Mountains are on the western side of the island of New Guinea, a part of Indonesia that has been little visited by scientists over the years. So the Environmental Conservation International, with the support of National Geographic Society and the Smithsonian Institution, began investigating the area. The results of their 2008 expedition were announced Monday. Malinsky said that the expedition was incredibly difficult. It was extremely wet, heavy downpours every day. The camp just was a complete mud bog. Christopher Hogan, curator of mammals at the Smithsonian's National Museum of Natural History, said one of the most amazing animals the researchers observed was the rare golden-mantled tree kangaroo. Most people think of kangaroos as creatures that live in the flatlands of Australia, but this one has adapted to forest life. It can jump into a tree and scurry right up it, but on the ground it hops around like any kangaroo. While that kangaroo has been observed rarely before, Hogan also discovered what may be the smallest known member of the kangaroo family, a tiny wallaby that has adapted to the forest life. In Australia were once connected and so have similar life forms, but they have adapted differently in each place. The researchers say another big surprise was made by the ornithologist Neville Kemp, who spotted a pair of new imperial pigeons that have feathers in different parts of their bodies that appear rusty, whitish, and gray. Other finds included a dozen new insects. The research, which also included Indonesian scientists, was part of the International Rapid Assessment Program. The teams come together to spend 3 or 4 weeks making surveys of all the biology of the selected areas. A feature on this expedition appears in the June issue of National Geographic magazine. While animals and plants are being wiped out across the globe at a pace never seen before in millions of years, the discovery of these absolutely incredible forms of life is a much-needed positive news. Yes, it is. Bruce Beeler said he's a senior research scientist at CI and a participant on the expedition. Places like these represent a healthy future for all of us and show that it is not too late to stop the current species extinction crisis. If y'all find a story like this that is touching and comes across a new species, which are always important to people in our group, send it into nitecallers@live.com and we'll get it on the air as soon as possible. And for more info on Nite Callers Radio, you can go to www.blogtalkradio.com/nitecallers or www.myspace.com/nitecallers. That's it for your footers, everybody. Have a great night.
If you've been a part of the Nite Callers and listening audience for some time now, I'm sure you've heard our interviews with Bill Bean. Bill now has his own program on the Shadow Talk Radio Network called Keeping the Faith with Bill Bean. Bill is a gifted speaker, writer, theologian, and a survivor. If you're looking for inspiration, be sure to listen to Bill's show on the Shadow Talk Radio Network at 9 p.m. Eastern Time every Sunday night at www.wfixfm.com. Again, that's www.wfixfm.com. And now back to the show.
Welcome back to Nite Callers. We were joined earlier by William Dranginis from the Virginia Bigfoot Research Organization. Bill's on the road and had to press on and leave us, but he gave us over 45 minutes of eye-opening information while he was here. I don't know about the rest of you, but I was impressed.
Yes, indeed. I know I was impressed from what I got to hear. I would while I was downloading files, I was picking up the phone and listening all at the same time. I'll have to go back and listen in the archives. But I have read a lot of the stuff that he's doing about a lot of the stuff that he's doing, and it was and it is just very impressive. And I was very much so impressed with his sighting. There were so many things, details that were there. His sighting blew me away. It really did.
Well, I think
really
it probably blew him away at the time, too. Those things have a tendency of staying with you, and a lot of people don't realize that you can freeze so many details in your mind. But Bill brought up an interesting point, and due to the times in which we're living, technology is moving so fast. It's very difficult to keep up with it. As he mentioned, every time he would get something almost ready to go, something new would show up out there that he needed to add to it. Otherwise, it would have been outdated as soon as it hit the market.
Absolutely. And I know the camera system sounded like a great idea, and plus, it's going to be affordable. That's at this point in time,
and it's also good for security surveillance as well as the big guys. There is obviously a very good reason why trail cameras have been so unsuccessful, and I think he's on to trying to get to the bottom of that situation. And, we're dealing with something here that's very, very intelligent. There's no question in my mind.
I would have to agree with you.
Not only that, but they really don't want their pictures made.
No, it's like me. I say no pictures for me either.
Yeah.
Especially profiles.
Yeah.
But no, but I think I'm looking forward to having him as a guest at another time.
Absolutely. Yes, and by the time he comes back, things will have taken another step or two forward, I'm sure.
Oh, yes. I'm sure it is. You know, well, Lori, I know you're there somewhere. I thought I heard you speaking.
Yes, I
are you
came
there?
back.
Oh.
I had to go take a break. I don't know about anybody else, but I had to go, but I am back, and what we had in mind for this evening, because we didn't really know that Phil was not going to be able to stay the entire show. So while in the first part of the show, Luke was uploading some sound files for us to play and discuss, and we're welcoming anybody that wants to call in, kind of like a last-minute roundtable. And if you want to call in, the number is 646-716-4530. We welcome all questions from the chat. And, Luke, you know what you've uploaded. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start?
Well, let me go there. Let me tell you what I've got. I've got some of the sounds that we recorded in Honobia last year in October. Honobia, Oklahoma. There was a siren moan that was recorded, and several of the files. If you look there in the database there, the sound file database there on Block Talk, you'll see what we have. And some of it was from your last.
Refresh, because I don't have anything on there.
Okay, and some of the sounds was when you recorded on your trip. I believe it was up to your friend's house. I don't remember her name, Charlotte, I believe, maybe. You was at her house, and I have some of those recordings there too. It was a Simone that was recorded. I think I have them listed there.
Okay.
There's the siren moan, which was from Oklahoma, and then the ones, and then there are two that I want to go over, and I think would carry on a very great conversation and discussion. I know Pat's out there listening to the show. I know he recorded a sound, what sounded like speech to me, and to several other people that he had sent in to R. Scott Nelson to have analyzed. I would like to talk about that in possible speech.
Okay.
So
what would you like to talk with first?
Okay.
What would you like?
Well, one of the sound files is two of the sound files are from the recording that you made years ago. I don't know the date that you recorded it, but to me, their sounds. It's the recording where you go, what the hell was that? Well, in that recording, it actually sounds like there is a speech pattern. It's almost as if you can hear syllables. And the other recording that you had made, where it also had similar sounds to speech, very rough and very gruff sounding, but however, it sounded like speech to me.
Okay.
Now, not that I'm a professional, but that's what it sounds like, a broken pattern of speech. So just pick a sound and we'll go with it.
Well, my computer, it's not wanting to cooperate with me. So let me see here. I've got, what the problem is I've got wording that is popping up over my soundboard, so I can't really read. It disappeared as soon as I said something. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and start with the very first one. How about that?
Okay.
And it's the 2009 Scream. Now,
okay, that's the one that you recorded.
I recorded.
You recorded that one, I believe, it's in Charlotte. At your friend's house.
Okay. Well, let's play it and see what. Everyone, listen up. I don't know what this is. I can't remember, but we'll go with it.
I guess that wasn't it.
Hold on, let me try it again.
And that was the
Scream.
That was the Scream, and I've heard that before.
Could you play it again?
Yes. In the switchboard.
Rule out coyotes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can definitely rule out coyotes on that one. I know I could hear a barred owl in response to the call. But however, I've heard that call up close and personal in the field, while being in the field, and then have Bigfoot activity just almost immediately after I've heard the call. You hear movement in the brush. So that's a scary sound when you're out in the middle of the woods and it's close.
Yes.
It sounds like it echoed.
I heard a very similar sound in a disco once.
Oh, my goodness.
Shadow Girl says, I've been told that could be an owl distress call. Anyone?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe so. I've never heard an owl make that sound.
Well, I've heard what I call a barred owl scream, and generally they'll fly up, they won't make any noise at all, and then they'll just let out this horrendous scream. It's like a screech, and then they'll you know, go hoo, 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 hoo afterwards, you know, but it's like, you know, it's just a scream. And that sounded similar. I was going to say that sounded similar to a barred owl scream and possibly could have been one.
Okay. Well, then maybe my experience was telling me that there was a barred owl in close proximity, and maybe it's seen the Bigfoot move and then screamed out. I guess that could be a possibility. Very true.
That could be.
Very true.
We had a barred owl scream in one area behind Lake of the Pines, and you know that area. And it sounded like it was coming down close to the ground. That's why there were several there that thought this barred owl scream was a Bigfoot. And it could have been a Bigfoot, but it also sounded like, you know, was later identified as barred owl. But the thing of it was we were having activity at the same time. You know, we knew they were there. You know, we knew they were there, and we had the barred owl scream at the same time. So there's something going on with that. Not to say that every time you hear a barred owl scream that there's going to be Bigfoot in the area, but in those two instances there were. So.
I know Shadow Girl, she says it sounded like a chimpanzee, and I know they actually can sound like chimpanzees, a whole troop of chimpanzees, when you get a bunch of them together.
The barred owls have such a volatile language, so many different sounds that they make. To me, they're the most interesting owl.
Yes, they are.
Because, and also I've noticed through studying them, and I've done a lot of study on the owls because of Bigfoot mimicking them and everything, so I could try to determine whether it was a Bigfoot making the owl sound or an owl making the owl sound, you know, trying to really learn to recognize the real from the mimicry. And what I've discovered is that in different areas, they have an indigenous type language where, in one particular area of one county, they make a certain kind of sound. It's the same. I know it's an owl, but they have a different song. And then another area, it will be. But they'll still all do the traditional "Who cooks for you" and all of that, but then they'll have like subtle differences. And when you know, so you're out there thinking, well, that doesn't sound like a barred owl, or it sounds like a very sad barred owl. I had one instance where I was up in Oklahoma, and if I had not seen this owl, I would have swore it was a Bigfoot because it went, whoo, 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 whoo. It just kept on hooing. And I'm thinking, what in the world? But it was an actual owl. We shined flashlight up in the tree, and there it was.
Yep.
I've never heard a barred owl do that, ever. So
different calls in different areas.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be unusual. I think that I can't say yes or no about that, of course, but I have heard of other birds that develop, if you'll have it, regional dialects.
Well, you know, with the barred owl, except for up in the north, but down here in the southern states, they stay in the same area from the time they're born. They have one mate, and they die in the same area. They stay in the same neighborhood. They don't fly north or south. They just stay. And I would think that it'd be just like, you know, any other form of wildlife, including humans. You stay in the same neighborhood your entire life. You're going to talk like your neighbors. You're going to have that, you know, regional dialect. Okay, the second one is the 2009 Second Scream. So I guess this is from the same area of in Rusk County. Okay. This is Rusk County, Texas. I never heard anything. Did you?
There was a scream in there. Could you play it again?
Yes. Well, let me try again. Okay, over the telephone, I can't hear it. Are you able to hear it?
I was.
Yeah, I could hear it.
Yeah.
It sounded similar to the first call that was there.
Yeah.
I would say possible barred out then.
It didn't have that change in pitch at the tail end though. It was pretty much
no, it didn't.
High pitched all the way through. So I guess it could be argued that that's the same phenomenon. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
okay, Reverend Strum says, I think in many cases what we have recorded are uncharacteristic vocals from known animals rather than from unknown, but of course not all.
Mm-hmm. He makes a very good point.
I think he does too. And that's exactly why it's very important for people to study their regional wildlife so that they know. It's easy when you record because you're going to get a lot of your regional wildlife on your recordings, and after a while you say, well, this definitely sounds like the coyotes in our area. It was like when we were at that one area on that one outing and we got that unusual, it did sound like a coyote from Arizona, but not a coyote from Texas. And so we don't know what it was. We just know that it was very, very loud and did not sound like a regional coyote or even a wolf from this area. So we don't know what it was. But it was very interesting, to say the least. We don't have that one on here, so I don't know why I'm even talking about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no, but there's an interesting point here. Wouldn't the say the locals in one area mimic, say, the local coyotes in the same area?
Yes, I would think so. Wouldn't you?
I would think so, rather than mimicking a local in Texas mimicking a coyote in Arizona or elsewhere.
People have said they have heard like the snowy owl, and they've heard it down here in the South, and snowy owl is not down in the South.
Well, it depends on what kind of winter they're having.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen one. I haven't heard one, but I've heard recordings of one.
Mhm. You're a little mid United States, would you say?
Well, I'm in the South.
North,
yeah, I'm in the South. The one I saw was in Atlantic Canada, so.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't down this way.
Okay. Well, the next sound file we have is breath seal. What is that, Luke?
Well, that is one of them where it sounds like it could be possible language.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You'll have to listen to it really close to pick it up, and you might not be able to hear it over the phone, but.
Okay. All right, well, I'm going to play it now. Yeah, let's give it a try. Let's give it a try. What the hell is that? But there's nobody else here. Okay. On this one, this was from the Poker Creek area. I was there with Crystal. We were in her Suburban. We were parked down next to the creek, and that's where you can hear all the frogs and everything. It had been raining, and every once in a while you might hear rain drop, hit the vehicle. We had the microphone on top of the car, and it was recording something outside our vehicle. And you can hear us talking, but whatever was outside our vehicle was very, very, very close. To me, it sounds like it almost a disgusted, to me, that's how it sounds.
In the beginning, there's actually, there's several, there's what in my early years of research, when they would do that, I just kind of gave it, called it a warning sound, a real deep, gruff, like a sound. They would, not a deer sound, not a deer snort or anything like that, but a very deep, low, gruff, yes. Pat says sounds like a raspy type voice. And in the first sound, you have several of those on there, but at the end of the recording, you can hear what it sounds like. There's a speech pattern. Like I said, you might not be able to hear it over the phone, or the audience might not be able to hear it, but it's like there's some kind of sound. Wow. It sounds like a language. And you have this on 2 recordings, as a matter of fact, and there's another one that I've uploaded also.
Okay.
It's not as clear as what Pat has recorded, or it's not as clear as the Sierra sounds. But
if that's
and I've been saying this for years.
Yeah. If it's the one that I recall, Pat didn't record it. Pat did send it in to Scott, but someone else down in that area of Alabama recorded it, but I could be wrong with that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then my mistake.
No, it's not a mistake. It's just I wanted to get that clear.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and play it again.
Okay.
And but you remember what R. Scott Nelson said, that their language is accelerated, is speeded up.
Yes.
And
he does with his capabilities, his ability that he's developed over many years of doing what he does. He can mimic sounds very, very well, and he admits that the sounds that he can imitate, he sounds very much like what we hear on, say, the Sierra sound, but that is from being slowed down. He said that he couldn't do it at their speeds.
Wow. Well, I'm going to go ahead and play this again.
Okay.
And I'm going to pay special attention to the very last part. What the hell is that? Nobody else. Well, Luke, you're absolutely right. I have never noticed that. Wow.
Yes, it's at the very end of the recording. You can hear it. It's almost like a speech there. And there was actually
like 3 different syllables.
Exactly.
Yeah. How interesting.
And I counted, and I typed in as I was counting, there was actually 5 of the raspy sounds that was made also. Let people know what I was hearing. But there's definitely something at the end and of that one, and you have it recorded elsewhere too, and not in the same place.
Does it?
This was
Okay.
And I believe I uploaded that sound also.
Do you know which one it is?
Oh, shoot, I wish I could see.
I know. Hold on. I'm trying to get my thing to move here. Poker Creek Possible Speech? Is that it?
That's probably the one.
Okay, it would be the same area then. But let's see.
Mm-hmm. But
let's see.
That was the one where I cleaned it up. I had cleaned that sound up a little bit.
Okay. Let me try it again. Oh, me and the switchboard. Okay, so that
that was
what you've done. Yeah.
That was just
okay.
That was the sound.
Okay, I'm going to let Lauren take the switchboard because it's not working for me. So,
okay.
Lauren, could you play that Poker Creek Possible Speech again, one more time?
Here it goes.
Could you hear it any better in that one?
Yes.
It's
like. So there's at least 4. Yeah. Okay.
And there's you have another one recorded. I didn't have time to upload it to the show, but it's the similar thing. You recorded it out. I believe it was in Zavala, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
And there was a
similar.
About
2 miles from this place.
Okay. Well, and then you have the same sound pattern coming from that area also. I might be able to get it uploaded if maybe if we can go ahead and take an intermission. I can go ahead and try and upload that sound.
I'm going to say, how are we on breaks here?
We are 23 minutes past our first break.
Yeah,
so
our second break.
I haven't been watching the clock tonight. Normally I'm a clock watcher, but I haven't been doing it tonight.
Okay. Lauren, if you will, get that first intermission.
The 7 o'clock one?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay.
Well, it's time to take a break, everyone, and we certainly hope you're enjoying tonight's Nite Callers Radio Show with our special guest, William Dranginis from the Virginia Bigfoot Research Organization. Remember, the phone lines will be open after the break. The call-in number is 646-716-4530. Again, that's 646-716-4530. And now, here's a song by Kent Gray called Everything is Cool.
Giant asteroid and it's heading our way, but it'll be 30 years if we're gonna collide, so I guess we've got a little time. The world may end, but until then I'm gonna do what I always do, have a beer with the boys, make a little noise, then come back home to you. The sun's still shining and the sky's still blue. The world may end, but until then, everything's cool. There's a billionaire running for president. Says we don't spend enough money on defense, but we've already got enough to vaporize the whole planet 1,000 times. The world may end, but until then, I'm gonna do what I always do. Have a beer with the boys, make a little noise, then come back home to you. The sun's still shining, and the sky's still blue. The world may end, but until then, everything's cool. We can't worry ourselves to death. We still gotta pay the rent. The sun's still shining and the sky's still blue. The world may end, but until then, everything's cool. Everything's cool. Everything's cool.
Well, folks, it's time to get back to the show, but before we do, here's a word about the Boggy Depot Bigfoot Conference and the Alabama-Georgia Bigfoot Research Group's new DVD.
A date to remember, October 22nd and 23rd, 2010. A place to remember, Boggy Depot State Park, Atoka, Oklahoma. This is the date and place of the first Boggy Depot Bigfoot Conference to benefit the Children's Miracle Network and the Children's Hospital Foundation of Oklahoma City. There will be living history events and storytelling with the Choctaw Nation, custom classic cars, custom motorcycles, a 5K run and walk, movies in the park, food, music, and so much more. And a great lineup of speakers like Ken Gerhart, R. Scott Nelson, Cullen Hudson, Nick Redfern, and many others. So October 22nd and 23rd, plan on attending the first Boggy Depot Bigfoot Conference and help the Children's Miracle Network. Come for the mystery, but stay for the history.
Hidden somewhere deep within the forested regions of Alabama and Georgia exist a species so elusive that few have ever seen them. For those who have, their lives forever changed. What are these mysterious unknown forest dwellers? Join Anthony Yon and the Alabama-Georgia Bigfoot Research Group as they go in search of Bigfoot on their new release on Expedition with the AGBRG, now available on DVD. And now, back to the show.
Bless you.
I heard that. I heard that sneeze.
Sorry. I forgot I didn't have it muted.
Well,
welcome back.
I've been trying to locate that sound file, and I'm not having any luck. It's really
no.
We can go on and play another sound, and I'll continue looking here.
Okay, I can do that.
That would be cool.
All right. For all of you that have just joined us, our guest tonight was Bill Dranginis, and I know I'm not saying his last name right. Bill, forgive me, but Bill had to go. He was on his motorcycle and looking at a thunderstorm, and he had 4 hours left to get back to Virginia. So he had to go at the beginning of the show. So all of you that are just now joining us and missed that, please download the archives. It was just chock full of valuable information about the new cameras that are coming out, and the technology is absolutely amazing. We're also asking anyone that wants to call in to call in, and I know we have a phone call. So let's go ahead and take this phone call. It's Henry, and hopefully, Henry, are you there?
I hope you got the switchboard working. Lovely BTR as usual.
Hi, Henry.
Hey,
Henry.
I'm sorry I missed talking to Bill. Bill Dranginis. He was at the Ohio conference last week. And by the way, it's Bill Dranginis.
Dranginis. That's right. Yeah.
Dranginis. That's the correct way to pronounce it.
It is just foreign to me, and I know I totally mutilated it.
Well,
yeah.
I told him I was going to.
He is just a fund of information.
He is.
How Indeed, he is.
Henry, tell us about
it was great. It was great as usual. It was great, of course. I mean, with Bob Gimlin being there, this was his first. This was his first time presenting on the PG film, or on what happened that day east of the Mississippi. He did present at J. Michael, Chester Moore's.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Anyway, he presented east of the Rockies in 2004. This was the first time he presented east of the Mississippi.
Wow.
About what happened on that day. And, of course, Jeff Meldrum was great. Also, Larry Lund, who I'd been corresponding with for 15 years, never met him until this year. So.
Were there a lot of people there?
What?
Were there a lot of people there?
Oh, well, estimates are anywhere from 600 to possibly 650 to 700, possibly.
Wow, that is a
great turnout.
You know,
I mean,
he was concerned. I know that Don Keaton was concerned that there would not be. They did not have it set up for that kind of a participation. Did everything turn out okay?
Oh yeah. Well, what happened was they filled up the conference room. I mean, it was pretty much standing room only. So what Don did was he set up for those who didn't have VIP seating.
Are you there?
I'm here. I'm having some trouble here.
Okay.
Anyway, what Don did was he set up a they had a big screen television in a lobby which was close to the conference room, and they ran a cable from a camera from a video camera to the television, to where people could actually sit in this little lobby part and actually watch the conference. Those who couldn't get in or into the main room, or those who couldn't, those who could not, did not have VIP seating or whatever. So those who were not able to sit inside the conference room were still able to see the conference. So are y'all picking me up? I'm hearing some static. Am I still here?
Oh yeah, you're still here.
Oh, okay.
You sound absolutely clear on our end. You are a little muffled, though.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, our good friend JC it's official now. He was finally crowned the world's greatest Bigfoot hunter. Yeah, it's official now. It's official. He was crowned world's greatest Bigfoot hunter.
Does that mean, Henry, that we won't hear it anymore?
Oh, I'm surprised he didn't brag about it earlier here in the chat room. But he got his royal crown, his royal scepter. If you go to YouTube and look up Launch with Bob Gimlin, you'll see where he was crowned. I got video of it.
Oh, great.
So there is video evidence that JC was crowned the world's greatest Bigfoot hunter. But it was a huge weekend. They had a private lunch for Bob Gimlin on Saturday, which several of us attended. I was able to attend that. It was like invitation only. Also, there were various internet radio shows that were running a contest where you could win lunch with, where you could win an opportunity to have lunch with Bob Gimlin, and so that was a tremendous thing. And
so who won?
Oh, several folks did. Some of us had already been invited. Fortunately. Yeah.
Why not then?
Yeah. But anyway, let's see what else. Of course, you had Jeff Meldrum, Larry Lund, Tom Yamarone was there singing his Bigfoot songs, and I got video of that. So that was at the Friday night bonfire, which was the day before the conference, and I got to stay with a couple of folks in West Virginia. They live about an hour, 15 minutes east of Salt Fork, so it was convenient, And unfortunately, the trip did not go without a hitch. The trip did not go without a hitch, unfortunately. My bag decided it liked Memphis so much it stayed in Memphis Thursday.
Oh no!
But fortunately, the Pittsburgh airport was able to track it down, and they got it to me that same afternoon. And Nancy and Bernie and myself, we went up to Salt Fork Thursday night just to kind of look around. There wasn't anything going on up there. So we went back to West Virginia, came back to Salt Fork the next day for the conference, and as we were unpacking, as we were getting things, getting things unpacked, here come pull up in the vehicle, Bob Gimlin and Tom Yamarone and Mark Stenberg. He came out there with them. I met him at the Yakima event last year, so. But it was great. The whole weekend was really great. We had a great time, and Bob is scheduled to be at the Oregon Sasquatch Symposium next month.
Right. And that's coming up soon.
Right.
Autumn even came out of hiding to start promoting the event. So it's it's coming up soon. Are you going to try to attend that one?
I'm going to be at that one. Yes. And also Yes, and also I was interviewed earlier this week by Jay Michael for his Conundrums internet web show. It's Conundrums TV. I'm going to put the link in the chat room. .blogspot.com. It's just my impressions on the entire weekend and things like that. I was actually originally supposed to be interviewed on Monday night, but I was not able to get home on Monday night because Delta screwed me over, and that's another story in and of itself. Because they told me
for everybody, I think.
Yeah, they told me, well, you have to be at the airport an hour before the flight takes off. I got a little paper that said you're supposed to be there 15 minutes before at the gate to check in and everything. I'm like, excuse me? So I had to stay in West Virginia one more night, which was good because I was with Nancy and Bernie and their kids. So they live in Follansbee, West Virginia, which is a kind of a small town. But the thing is, it encompasses the entire tri-state area. You've got the little panhandle, West Virginia. Then over here on this side, you got Pennsylvania border. Then you got the Ohio border. I mean, they're not very far from either side.
Right. And it's like the 20th anniversary of the Ohio conference, isn't it?
22nd. This is number 22.
22nd. Yes.
Yeah.
So
Lauren was asking, who is the guy on the sign closest to the camera of Bob? That is Esteban Sarmiento, who nobody knew was going to be there. Not even Don knew he was going to be there.
Say his name one more time.
Esteban Sarmiento. If you're referring to the long-haired, dark-haired fellow, that's him.
That's what I'm referring to. He's very attractive.
Yeah, he was not scheduled to be there, and he just showed up there Friday night. So we were all very surprised to see him. I was like, oh wow. But
we do have another caller. We do have another caller. And
but it was a great conference, and we had a great time. And well, anyway, thanks for taking my call, and we'll talk to y'all later.
Thank you for filling us in on that event. It was the event of the year. I don't even know if the Oregon Sasquatch Symposium is going to do as good as the Ohio conference.
I hope it will, but anyway, we'll see.
Too.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Henry, so much for calling in.
Yeah, take care, Henry.
Bill missed you.
Okay.
Take care, Henry.
Bill missed you last week.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye. You're on the air, 407.
Hey, this is Pat Rance. How y'all tonight?
Hey, Pat.
Hi, Pat.
Hey.
Pat.
Good show. I just wanted to, I don't know if Luke caught it on the chat, but I just sent an email to you with that audio recording from Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
My friend Keith, if y'all wanted to play it on air, I don't think he'd mind. It's on other websites, and he's given me permission to, play it live before. So
That's a good piece.
We want to throw it out there for the guests to hear again. I don't think you'll mind a bit.
Yeah, that's a good piece. Scott found that very interesting.
He sure did.
Yeah, I remember he was on our show when he was going, whoa, I want that. Have you ever heard anything back on that, Pat?
No, I haven't. He wanted to go to that location and, do some researching, and that hasn't happened yet. But right after he was on your show, he was on his way out to California, to take that horseback trip out to where the Sierra Sounds were. And he called me. It was late. It was after midnight, I believe. Here, my phone was already off. He left a voicemail. He wanted to talk to me before they got, left him the next morning. But, of course, by the time I got the email, they had already left.
Well, there was like 3 hours difference between from where he was at and where you were at, too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The voicemail came through around midnight my time.
Well, I would be very curious to know what he has come up with. Is he supposed to be at the Oregon Sasquatch Symposium? I think he is one of the guests there, isn't he?
I believe he is. They have a book coming out, but it's not out yet. It will have a CD with it.
Okay.
Well, see what his interpretation of it is.
Exactly, I would too.
He said over the air that night that he thought it was exactly the same language as the Sierra Sounds, which, is maybe 3,000 miles apart and, 30-something years, I guess, different times. So he was a little excited at the time. That was the first time he'd heard it.
Well, this makes me think that it's very, very possible that a lot of times we misunderstand what we're actually hearing. We might be hearing a grunt and a huff and or a breath or something, and it could actually be words. And we're just, because of our audio capabilities, not being able to slow it down, that they could actually be communicating with each other, or one communicating to another one that is there, and we are just totally not realizing that's what we're hearing.
Well, and you're right, because in that recording that I found that recording, by the way.
Great.
You recorded.
Did you get it uploaded?
It is uploaded. It was under a sound called grunt huff. But if you listen at the end, you will hear the same sounds as you hear in the other file that we played earlier. So, like you were explaining, you might be hearing grunts and different sounds, but in reality, it might be them speaking to one another.
Speaking in a very speeded up fashion, as our
in this. But I have that one uploaded. If you want to go ahead and play that one.
Okay, Lauren, can you play the grunt huff for us, please? And Pat, please stick around.
Yes, please do.
A grunt what?
It's called Grunt Hut.
You may have to refresh your switchboard to see it. He just uploaded it.
Hold on.
Yeah,
I'm still stuck on this video of Esteban.
Oh my goodness! I think I need to check this man out.
Yeah. You. Oh my lord! Well, I had to pause the screen and catch my breath. My lord. Okay, here's the grunt huff.
Okay, here we go.
Esteban's face. All right, here we go.
Could you do it again?
Uno más.
I'm going.
Yep. That's a similar sound. A very interesting sound. It's to me, it sounds like syllables, but it's not a clear speech pattern, but it does sound like syllables to me. There are syllables there. But in those two recordings,
are you able to upload that K-Talk while we're?
It's there. It's called Keith's Recording. It's ready to go. It's there.
Okay.
It's called what?
Keith's Recording.
Keith's Recording. Now, this is from an entirely different state than these other ones. This one's from the state of Alabama.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Now that's very clear.
It doesn't do it justice playing it over the air like this, but it sounds pretty good. I mean, it's a little bit cleaner when you listen to it, just on your computer without it going across the air.
No. But what he's saying is clear. What he had for supper wasn't agreeing with him.
Yeah. I've gone up there researching, probably 12 or 15 times in the last 2 years to that very location. And there's been several times when we have gone up, down the different logging roads over to that particular spot where my friend Keith was. And we've sat up there and, for a couple hours up there in the nighttime. And we had 2 sightings up there back in, I think it was January. I didn't see it myself.
Last January? Was it this last January, Pat? Okay.
January. I can't know. It may have been prior to January. It may have been back in October. I can't remember. I've been up there so many times I can't remember now. But I think it may have been maybe like in October, right before hunting season started. There were about 8 of us or so, or maybe more. We all parked up in that little spot and threw chairs out. We're sitting there. And it's like an intersection of about 5 little dirt, one major logging road and about 4 other little ones spiking off in different directions. And it was a pretty bright night, and we saw, or I didn't, but Keith said he saw it, one going across one of those smaller logging roads that went off in a southerly direction, and it was fairly narrow and grown back in. The branches and everything had come back into it. He saw one, crossing maybe 50, 60 yards up from us where we were sitting. It was an interesting night. It always is up there.
It is. I remember when we were there last time, we were all sitting there, and I saw something dark and young pines. And I had, during the day I had 2 cameras. I had now this is what a sorry researcher I am. I thought it was a tree trunk or something like that. I thought, surely that's not one right out here in open daylight like this. And I had 2 cameras right next to me, and I didn't turn and take a picture or try to film it. And just moments later, I looked over there, and it was completely gone. And I thought, You know, it's one of those. And then later, and I think it was in the same day, I don't know if it was the same one or a different one. It had moved across a creek and was moving. And Rhonda saw it and brought it to our attention. And of course, I was trying to film it as it was moving across that creek through the trees and stuff. And I could see, and on the video, you can see something moving, but you just cannot, you know, when you're trying to zoom in, you lose your stabilization on your camera, which I severely needed a tripod. That would have solved that problem right there. But the fact is that something was over there moving, and it was tall enough that it was being seen above the brush and moving from the brush from tree to tree, and it was kind of dodging back and forth, and then it just stayed hid until we lost interest in it. And so there was definitely something there. But I would like to like it if Lauren would play that last recording again. I'd like to hear it again, and I think other people out there would too.
Yep.
All right. I'm playing Keith's recording.
I'd be very interested to know what that sounded like slowed down.
Mm-hmm. Something about too many pickles in the coleslaw.
Gosh, JB, you're getting too good at this. I'm telling you.
JB's on a roll.
Maybe you should submit that to. Maybe you should submit that interpretation to R. Scott Nelson.
Yeah, we could suggest that to him. Of course, he's saying it in Japanese or something, you know.
Yeah, then you and R. Scott Nelson and Ron Moorhead could just collaborate and solve this whole mystery.
Yeah. Unfortunately, my phone isn't ringing.
And you know, we have what I consider to be one of the most interesting sounds that's been recorded, as far as an unknown sound goes, because nobody knows what it is. And Lori Phillips recorded it. And it was the siren sound, the siren song, and the sound that it was the sound that you had analyzed.
Yes.
Sent it to the, and I have that one uploaded here also.
Play that one.
You do? Okay, go
yes,
ahead.
Yes, it is uploaded.
That one,
yes, it's called the siren song.
I will never ever forget that.
Yeah, that sound sticks. I mean, that's pretty much embedded in your brain once you hear that. And that's just an awesome recording. And tell us what a little bit about.
Okay, well, it was about 11:30 at night on a cold fall night. I can't remember. I think it was in November. I had the microphone in the window. And I was lying in bed with the window shut because it was cold outside, but I could hear it inside the house. And I said, oh, please let me get that on recording. And I did. I was delighted. Oh, my gosh. You know how the Bigfoot curse usually works. You hear something really awesome, and you don't get it. For one reason or another, you have the pause button pushed, or... the myriad of things that can go wrong. And but I got it, and I actually heard it again the next year. But I was not recording at that particular time when I heard it. And I've heard it twice. And when I had it analyzed by Dr. Benson at the Center of Bioacoustics down in Corpus Christi, he said it was similar to a red fox, but it was not a red fox. In fact, he could not identify it. He did not know what it was. It definitely sounds to me almost musical, and in that particular area, there was a lot of strange howls that had almost a musical quality to them. But then so did the coyotes in that area. They seemed to be kind of sing-songy. And so it but he didn't say it was a coyote. So I don't know. It was a very strange sound.
Certainly didn't sound like a coyote to me, but we occasionally get the siren sounds here. Now, the thing about that is that there's no emergency vehicle in our area that uses the old sirens. They always use the whoopers.
You're talking like the real deep.
Yeah, these sound like the old police cars from a long time ago. But there's nothing here that uses that now. Everybody's got the whooper sounds.
Yeah.
Well, we're down to the last few minutes of the show, and we want to thank everyone for coming to our show tonight. Next week, we are going to be live from the field. Me and Luke and several other people. So we want y'all to be sure to join us. We're going to be in a very hot spot. And we'd love for y'all to come and listen to us get scared.
Oh, yeah.
This place is a scary place, but it's going to be fun and exciting. And yes. But we want y'all to come join us next Sunday night as we go to the Sabine River Bottoms here in Texas. And,
I love the sound of that.
Wouldn't miss that for the world.
Yes. And but anyway, we're probably going to roll on over into archives. We encourage all of you to download the show and listen to the rest of this discussion. And thank you for coming. Okay, back to you guys.
Thanks for coming, everybody.
Yes.
Yes.
Good night.
Good night, all.
Good night.
Are we saying goodbye or going to the archives?
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm still here.
Okay.
Pat
hang
still
on.
Here?
Yeah, Pat, don't go anywhere.
Yeah, you still here, Pat? Pat left?
Yeah. No.
Pat is gone.
Oh, okay, good.
Pat is on. Okay. No, he's not. No, he's not. We left the show, but Pat is not with us. So, wow. That was a very interesting show.
Yes, it was. It turned out very well.
Yeah.
I'm sorry Bill had to leave early, but on the other hand, we got to listen to some very good audio.
Yes, and we're hoping to get some more next weekend.
Yes.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
counting
definitely.
on it.
I know that what my plans are, and what I'd like to do while we're out, I'm going to take my digital recorder. I'm going to go place it out away, a good ways away from where we'll be staying at.
Okay.
And in place, and see if we can see if I can get something to come to the recorder, because what I've found with the setup that I have with this recorder, it seems that wildlife is not afraid of it. It's pretty well camouflaged, but they come up close to it. You can hear them. You can hear little animals, little mice, little squirrels. As a matter of fact, that was the same setup that I used up in Honolulu, Oklahoma, when we were up there.
Right.
And something handled the recorder. You could actually hear it squishing this styrofoam I have on the inside, if you guys remember that. But what I want to do is take that and place it somewhere away from where we're at, and see if we can come up with something downriver.
You know, and I might do the same thing. I might do the same thing, but go in the opposite direction, so that I don't pick up camp sounds. There's a very good chance Rhonda will be coming with me. She's going to be awesome for me. Yes, that's excellent, because, you know, she brings a little bit of the spidey senses with her, so that'll be real interesting.
Yes.
I'm just excited. I am so looking forward to it. I went to Sabine River Bottoms one time on a 4-wheeler convention type thing, and they had live band and everything like that, and I promised that I would do no Bigfooting while I was there. I was there with my husband and promised him that I would behave myself. And when things would get quiet, I would hear some of the most amazing vocalizations. And I'm thinking, oh, gee, it was eating me up. Apparently, all the noise and everything was not deterring them in the least, or maybe they were just using that as, to cover up what they were doing, and when it would get quiet for just a minute or so, you could hear them just sounding off, and I thought, golly, I want to go back. I want to go back, and of course this is a different area, but it is the same river, and so I'm very, very anxious.
Well, perhaps if before you go this time, promise not to behave yourself again, and it'll happen again.
Well,
that's right.
But what you also have to
try, but you know how I am. I have got to go out there and do my Bigfoot thing.
Well, I understand that, and the other thing we got to do is make sure that you don't get any of these thunderstorms on Sunday night.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's absolutely true. You know, we haven't had a drop of rain in 3 weeks, and it would be just our luck that it would probably rain that night and no other. But if it does, it does. You know, I guess we'll have to sit in the vehicle and do the show from inside the vehicle to stay dry. I don't know, but we will.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely have to worry about the rain because this area you're going into, it's going to have to be dry. Well, up to a certain point it is. There are white rock roads that lead down to the area, but some of the spots it's mud roads, dirt roads. So, but I'm not worried about it. I think it's going to be a great trip because historically speaking, the Sabine River has had lots and lots of Bigfoot activity. Lots of activity. I've gathered reports.
I could believe that, and you have got some pictures, and I wanted to let everyone know he is going to be putting up probably a video or some sort of presentation on this area. It's very, very old-growth forest, swampy, lots of snakes, lots of alligators, and in fact, several days right before we're supposed to go, I think like Wednesday and Thursday, they're actually having alligator hunts. Yes. So maybe they'll clean out some of the alligators and won't scare off the Bigfoot. I'm just thinking, golly, if it gets hot, I'm going to want to throw some water on me or something, cool down, because it's going to get hot.
Oh, yeah.
But,
well, maybe they could throw some of that alligator tail our way.
That would be great.
It's good. I love alligator tail.
I would like to try it.
Yeah.
I would like to try it. I tried it one time, and it was all breading, and one little teeny tiny piece of meat you couldn't even taste. And I was like, but I paid all this money for this.
Yeah, tastes like chicken.
Oh, does it? Okay.
Or chicken tastes like alligator. I don't know which, but...
Well, our plans are to meet up early on Sunday and do a little reconnaissance, kind of look around and see what all's out there, do the show, and then spend the night out there and actually, probably stay up a good part of the night, and I don't know if we're going to do the cold camp Luke's way, but I'm willing to. If that's the way he wants to do it, I'll even bring some honey to burn.
There
you
go.
And we'll try it. We'll try it Luke's way. We'll just see how successful we are. And I just can't wait. I am so excited about it. Oh, it's nice to only travel 2 or 3 hours instead of like 10. You know, it's really nice to go closer.
Makes the trip home a lot easier.
Yes, and it never fails. It seems like every time I plan an outing, I start having activity at home. And right now I'm having activity here. It's like, why am I traveling when it's right here? But at the same time, you know, I like, you know, getting together with other researchers and in a new place. And I've been wanting to go back to the Sabine River for, 6 or 7 years, however long it's been since I was there last. So I'm ready.
Well, that sounds exciting.
Well, yeah, me too. It's going to be a good trip, and I hope everybody comes. I think there was a little bit of news that we didn't get to. You can catch it in archives. You may have caught it while I was uploading files. It was about the UBRG, United Bigfoot Research Group, is starting. They're going to be having a Blog Talk radio show also. Their show will be their debut show will be May 26th, 2010 at 7 p.m. So
that's Judy and Terry Trainer, isn't it? Judy and Terry Trainer?
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's the ones.
Yes.
So everybody go over and give them a listen.
Yes.
Absolutely.
They're some great researchers. They really, really are, and it's going to be a fantastic show. We're going to be over there. I am. I'm going over there, and I'm going to give them my full support. So
there you go.
Well, I guess we can go ahead and wrap it up.
Okay.
What else y'all want to talk about?
No, I think we've covered it. But I certainly enjoyed the show. I mean, there was a lot of scrambling that took place, but we got it did.
We did it, and Nite Callers still rocks.
Yeah, absolutely. There you go. Nite Callers rock.
Okay,
guys. Well, listen.
Okay,
you guys
good.
Be careful and
enjoyed it, and I'll be in touch.
Okay, take care, everybody.
Night all.
All right. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.